Hello students, how are you? I hope you're all doing good and let's begin. In this video we will discuss about the topics that we have discussed in the last Google Meet class, and in this video we will finish this chapter water, because in the last Google Meet we have already finished the chapter, and the topics that and the key topics that we have discussed we will discuss over here. Now see, we have discussed that how water cycle is important and what is water cycle and the process that are involved in the water cycle, the various process, that is evaporation, condensation, transpiration, and also transpiration and precipitation. But now what is, see, these processes are happening all together simultaneously. It's not that that only evaporation is happening, then after condensation it's happening all together. Evaporation is happening, condensation is happening, precipitation is happening, not in one place but in a different place, but these are all happening all simultaneously. But what if one of the process of the water cycle is affected? What if one of the process of water cycle is affected, sorry. What affected? Suppose there is, we know that what are the process that is involved, that is evaporation, then evaporation, transpiration, means transpiration, evaporations are occurring, then condensation, then precipitation, then again this, then again. So these are all happening all simultaneously. Now what if the one of the process is affected? That is something that one of the process is not happening in that rate, or it is a, like, what should I, it is limited. Suppose there is only evaporation is happening or only precipitation is happening, and then what will happen? The main question is, what will happen if only evaporation is happening, no precipitation is occurring, or only if precipitation is occurring but not evaporation, the rate of evaporation is not happening at that rate? Then what will happen? Then we will face a natural disaster. Then what will happen? The nature will get affected, and if nature will get affected, then who will be the sufferer? We, the living organism on this earth, will be the one who is the sufferer. So if one of the process of the water cycle is affected, that means the nature, the balance of the nature is affected. The balance of nature is affected, because the water cycle actually balance balance the nature, balance the whatever the process that is happening, whatever the balance of the nature. But if one of the process is affected, the balance of the nature is affected, and the balance of the nature is affected, then the living organism is the one who are the sufferer. The living organism of the earth are the sufferers. So see, this is what happens. So see, the how water cycle is very important. Water cycle is very important because of the balance of the nature, to maintain the balance of the nature. So let's see, what happens if one of the process is affected, or the rate of that process is not happening as it used to happen. Let's discuss. Now suppose there is only precipitation is happening but evaporation is not happening. The rate of evaporation, if the rate of evaporation is limited, evaporation is lower, is lower. If the rate of evaporation is lower than the rate of precipitation, then the rate of precipitation, suppose there is only, that means it is continuously raining. That means if it rains continuously, then what will happen? If it is rain continuously? We know that whenever it rains continuously, we have faced this problem, that whenever if it rains continuously for 2 3 days, the rivers will be overflown, right? The rivers and the ponds will be filled, but at the same time it will get overflowed. So you can see that if the rate of evaporation is lower than the rate of precipitation, and it is only precipitation is occurring and no evaporation is occurring, then that means if it rain continuously, then what will happen? The lakes, ponds will get overflown, and if that got overflown, then what will happen? Then the flood. What will happen? The flood will occur. If one of the process is absent or becomes slower, then it affects the nature. And how it is affecting? That, see, if no evaporation occurs and only precipitation occurs, then that means it is raining continuously. And if it continuously rain for 3 days, only 2 3 days, and no evaporation is happening at all, then what will it may cause flood. And we know what will happen if it cause flood. And due to flood, what will happen? Due to flood, crops, property, lives, these are all affected, or destroyed. Crops means in the field, in the field, the farmers in the field where the farmers grow crops, if it gets overflown, if it may cause a flood, then what will happen? Then the waters of the rivers will move into the farming land, and the farming land containing crops will get destroyed, will get damaged. And at the same time, sometimes these flood becomes so dangerous that it has sometimes also destroy the properties and the lives. And there is one more. What if the vice versa, that there is no precipitation but only evaporation is happening? What if there is no precipitation but only evaporation is happening? That means now here reverse is happening. The reverse is happening. That means earlier the evaporation was not happening, only precipitation was happening. Now evaporation is happening but precipitation is not happening. That means if there is no precipitation, suppose there is no precipitation, only evaporation, then what will happen? If there is no precipitation, that means no rain, and if it is no rain, then what will happen? It may cause drought. It may cause drought. And drought means lack of water. And due to the lack of water, the plants, trees, crops all will die. So what will happen? Due to no rain, that means shortage of water. And if it is a shortage of water, that means we will face a drought. And due to drought, that means the plants, trees, crops all will die. And if these die, that means shortage of food. And if it is a shortage of food, that means what will happen? We will reach the state that is a famine. That means if precipitation, if these continues, no precipitation is occurring, only evaporation occurring, and if this continues for the months, then we will face the famine. There will be point where we will face the outcome, that is famine. So see how this water cycle is very important. It is not only important for the balance, maintaining the balance of the nature, but also for the living organism. It is also important for maintaining the life or sustaining the life of the living organism. As you can see that if one of the process gets absent or get affected, who is the sufferer? We the people who is the sufferer. We, the people, living organism, not only humans but also animals. The animals also need water to live. Also, the animals need food to live. So, all the living organism present on the earth will get affected or will suffer the most and will suffer these outcomes. So you can see that how it is happening. So as we have seen that how that what are the destruction or what are the consequences that we face if one of these process get absent. Consequences like in a drought, what will happen? The plant trees will die, sometimes due to the shortage of food. If plant trees will die, there will be shortage of food, and if there is a shortage of food, that means a famine. And if this happens, then again we can say the animals, all the living organism will also start to suffer and will die. That means ultimately we are the ones. We are the ones. Plants, living organism, and us are the ones who are going to suffer the most. So these are the process. The water cycle is very important, and you should and it is necessary that the balance, that this water cycle maintain its balance and it continuously happens. Okay. Now let's move to the next topic, that is the conservation of water. Till now we have seen that how water cycle is important, and if one of the process of the water cycle is affected, how it's going to it causes an imbalance to the nature, and ultimately and we will face the consequences. Now we will discuss about what? We will discuss about the conservation of water. What is the conservation of water? Conservation means careful, economical, and avoiding the wastage. That means conservation means we should be very careful with the use of the substances, or the use with the sources. That we can't, it's not like that it is a very, like for example fossil fuel, they are very limited, and one the time will come when these all the fossil will get exhausted. Similarly, this water is inexhaustible. We know the water present on the earth is inexhaustible, but we shouldn't forget the availability of the fresh water is very limited. Availability of fresh water is very limited. That means that is only 3%. And with this, due to the increase in industrialization, with the increase in industrialization or urbanization, due to the increase in the industrialization and urbanization, this level, the availability of this water is getting lowered, the percentage of this fresh water is getting lowered, is becoming less. And that means due to urbanization, the percentage of fresh water is affected. Affected means it is quite, means percentage is getting decreased. Why? Because we know what happens in industries. In the industries, the wastage or the all the wastage or the harmful chemicals are dumped into the rivers. All the wastage harmful chemicals, harmful substances are dumped into the river, So see, they to the river. So as we know that rivers, we know that the fresh water contains what? River, ponds, lakes, groundwater, rainwater, snow. These are all comes under these are all the sources of what? Fresh water. And if we dump this harmful wastage into the river, what will happen? Then we can't drink that in that case we can't drink this fresh water, and as a result, that means it is affecting. If we dump these harmful chemicals into the river, what will happen? That the living organism, the aquatic life and the living organism are affected by this, are getting affected by this. So see, also the urbanization means as the population is increasing, as the population of the earth is increasing, so what is happening, we need more and more buildings, we need more we need more and more buildings, we need more and more buildings to accommodate accommodate, and as a result, when we are when we are constructing this building, we are actually putting a concrete, that means we are using concrete, and it reduces the seepage of rainwater into the ground, which ultimately affects the availability of the groundwater, that means the level of the groundwater is getting decreased, the level of the groundwater is getting decreased, level of the groundwater is decreasing. And why it is decreasing, decreasing because of the urbanization means where we need more and more buildings to accommodate, and these buildings are made up of what, concrete, and since the land is covered with a concrete, there is a less availability of the soil which absorb this water and lead this water into where, into the groundwater, and increase the groundwater, maintain the level of the groundwater. But due to this less availability of this land, reducing the seepage of the rainwater, and this ultimately affecting the level of the groundwater is decreasing. So we have seen that how this percentage of fresh water is affected due to the industrialization, urbanization, and also because as we are advancing, we are more and more actually using these kind of instruments that is affecting our environment. Now, here comes a question, then what should we do? What should we do to maintain this percentage? What should we do to conserve the water? The fresh water which we can use for various purpose, and the fresh water which we can drink. What should we do? In that case, what should we do? We should conserve the water. So we need to conserve our water. That is, we have to be very careful. We should use the economical use and avoiding the wastage of the water. Now, how we will do conservation? What are the steps to reduce the wastage of water? How can we do? The first thing we can do, that we have to be very careful. We should limit the use of the water. We should limit the use of water. That nowadays, instead of using, like we know that we use the water like very carelessly. For example, like whenever we used to wash something, instead the washing one cloth which needs only a one bucket or a half bucket of water, in that case we use two buckets. So see, this is the careless use of the water. In this case, so what we can do, we have to be very careful. We should limit the usage of the water. We should be very careful with this water. Again, what is plant more tree? That is afforestation. Afforestation is one of the best, or by the best suggestion by which we can reduce the wastage of water. This is why, because if we plant more and more trees, what will happen, that trees will absorb, the trees roots will absorb this water, and as a result this water will slowly percolate and increase the groundwater level, so it is necessary that we should plant trees, we should do afforestation. Second is, what can we do? Second is that for example, that we should not allow the dripping of the water from the tap, from the defective tap. We should not allow. We should be very careful that whenever we go outside, close the tap properly, close the tap water properly. That means tap properly, so that the water does not drip, does not continuously drip. We should, again, what should we do? We can do drip irrigation for crop production. Drip irrigation. Drip irrigation for farming. Farming. The farmers can use the drip irrigations for farming. Second, and this is the third, and the last one, what is the next thing we can do? We can do rainwater harvesting. Now the question is, what is rainwater harvesting? Right? Rainwater harvesting means the collecting of rainwater. Collecting of rainwater. We know that rainwater is the only source of fresh water. Only source of fresh water. Since the rainwater is the only source of fresh water, so in this case we can collect this rainwater and we can use it for various purposes. Various purposes means household chores. Household chores is like cleaning, washing. So in that case we can use this rainwater. So here you can see these are the various processes by which we can conserve the water. The conservation of water starts from your home only. It is not that we are saying others to stop the others to stop the wastage of water, and when it comes to us we are not doing the same. It should come within us. The conservation should come within us. It should start from home. From your home you should start the conservation of water, and then we will move from start from home, then we will move to society, and then we will move in a larger scale. So okay, now let's come to this rainwater harvesting. So how can we do rainwater harvesting? So rainwater harvesting can be done in a two ways. Rainwater harvesting can be done in a two ways. And what are the ways? That is, one is we can do is what is it say that open tank rainwater harvesting, and the second is rooftop rainwater harvesting. Rooftop rainwater harvesting and open tank rainwater harvesting. So what is actually happening? Generally the rainwater can so what is happening? Suppose this is a house. Suppose this is a house. Play in ground. So what is happening? And here it is a tank. Here it is a tank. So what will happen if this house, suppose the rain is falling. So what will happen? Now water that is falling on the terrace of the house, the water terrace of the house, let the water flow to this pipe. Now connect this pipe to this tank. Connect this pipe to this line. Now what will connect? Now connect another pipe. Now connect the motor with this tank. What will happen? And this motor will help water to reach in every parts or every rooms of this house. So in this way we can do rooftop. This is what rooftop rainwater harvesting, or better, this is how we do the rainwater harvesting. That is, we are collecting the rain. How we are collecting the rain? That means that whenever there is a precipitation, the rain water falling over the terrace connect. Now what will that? So the water will flow into this pipe, and as it is flowing into this pipe and will get collected into where? Into this groundwater tank, into this tank. So we are collecting this rainwater, and if there is a scarcity of water, at least we can use this rainwater for the not for the drinking, but for the various purposes. See, water is not used for only drinking, it is used for various purposes. We can use this rainwater for various purposes like cleaning, cleaning household chores, various household chores we can use, cleaning, washing, dishing, whatever we say, etc. So this is what rooftop rainwater harvesting. What is the open tank harvesting? The open tank harvesting is like for example, Open tank means suppose you are digging a very big tank over here and allowing all the waters that is falling, that is flowing on the road, allowing all the waters of the rain flowing into this tank, flowing into this tank. So in this way what will happen after digging, now this water will get like a digging like a well. It is like a digging a well. We know what is well. Well is a, like a, it is a part of a groundwater. Well is a source of a groundwater. Right? So what we are doing, we are digging a well. We are well kind of structure we are digging, and in what we will do, we will allow the all the rainwater, the suppose the rain is occurring. So what is, it is raining. So what will happen? The rainwater will collect it over here, and at the same time all the rainwater that is flowing on this road or whatever you say, they are allowing this water to flow into this tank. So this is all about this chapter. We have already finished the chapter rainwater. We have already finished the chapter that is water. So we will move to the next chapter, that is, I think, air around us. I think it's a 15th chapter. I don't remember the chapter name. I think it is air around us. So in the next day we will start a new chapter. Now, hope now please solve the NCRT question, or we will discuss. Okay, first we will discuss the NCRT question, then we will move to the next chapter. Till then, have a nice day.